Okay, so we have a raised dog bowl here, water and food, and I'm going to show you how to make the top on the CNC using the Onefinity. And the bottom, the base here, you can see every other YouTube on how to make a base for tables, benches, but if you want to just see kind of how it looks, there it is. Let me show you how to make the top. What's up, y'all? So today we're going to be working on a raised dog feeder and water bowl. So I got this 3/4 inch piece of plywood that we're going to be using as the top. So I'm going to go ahead and first off measure what its thickness is. .71. 0.72, let's see here. Okay, so we're gonna say 0.72. I'm gonna look to see, this is the side that has the biscuits, like where, if you wanna see, has the little patches on it. And then this is the prettier side. So I'm gonna have it be the pretty side up because it'll cut all the way through, and then the tabs will be on the bottom just in case it looks a little funky, you won't ever see the bottom. So I'm gonna face to see which side I want as my outside. So it's probably gonna be this side right here. So we're gonna flip, put it on our table. Ready? We're gonna use the 0, 0 as our reference point, so I'm going to butt it all the way up against here. I'm going to use all of my hold downs here. If you haven't watched any of my videos on YouTube, you can see how I made the my own T-track for this. So we'll get this bolts in here, so you just slide it in. If you have T-track, you can use that as well. So we're going to slide that in, and we're going to clamp it down. And then I'm going to roughly measure to see, it's not more than 4 feet, but making sure here. That is 4 feet by 27 inches. So we know that we're not going to go past all this, so we're just going to do 4 by 32 inches. So I got reached out to on Facebook Messenger and asking to see if I can make a raised dog feeder. So we're gonna go, I'm gonna open up a new window. I'll go to Facebook and actually see the message, because right there it actually tells me what they want. They actually found something on, I think it was like Pinterest, something that they liked. So I'm just going to check to see what it looks like. So I do know, I have to take note that when I actually build the base of it, it has to be that where the top of the feeder is at 14 inches high, so that's counting the thickness of this plywood here. So I just took a note here of what I'll need to do later on when I make the base. All right, so I'm going to keep this picture up, and this is just probably like a Pinterest picture of this feeder, and I'll make something similar to that, but maybe a lot nicer than that. So okay, so I got my 2 dog bowls here, and these are really nice. They're nice and deep, and they have a little lip here. And these right here, these doesn't say what size they are, so we're just going to go ahead and measure them. So when I start designing the top of this, these will fit right in there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to measure to see what the total is here. So this is at, side to side, we're at see here. So we're at 8 and it's like right at 8 and 7/16. So 8 and 7/16. Okay. And then the actual internal part of this where it can rest, the cutout, just kind of eyeball like, because it kind of goes at an angle out like a bowl, you know. So I'm going to cut it out to where this will rest on top of there. So let's see here, what is that measurement going to be? So I'm going to say, let's do that at 7 and 7/8. Actually, so there's room. Let's go at 7 and 15/16, just so that it has enough room to wiggle around. So 7 and 15/16. Okay. 7, 15/16. Okay. So let's get to the easel program. If you can see this, let's see here. Let's lower you down just a tad bit here. Okay. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. And then let's see here. Let's just kind of, I'm looking to reference a picture. It looks like it's about, that looks like about 2 to 3 inches from the edge here. So let's just kind of play with it here and see how we like it on the board. So let me raise this up here. And that looks like we're just going to flip them upside down so that we kind of know where we want this. Close there. Let's see here, we'll do about not that far. How far is this here? So this is roughly 5 inches from the, so 4.5 from the from where my cutout will be. So that's 4.5. So I'm going to just sketch this out here real quick here so you can kind of see what my measurements are going to be. So we have the bowls, and then in between here we're going to do 4.5. Okay, so that's 4.5, and then from here back, that looks like a pretty good spacing. So we're going to go 3 inches from that to that. And then from there back there, I think I'll do another, that looks good. Yeah, about 3 inches as well. So 3 inches this way, 3 inches this way, and then obviously 3 inches this way. So all the way around, and then 4.5 in between the bowls. So that'll give us our rough dimension of about, let's see here, we got it close to like right here at 22.5. We're going to go about 25.5 from left to right, and then from front to back we're going to go, I'm going to put 3 inches over here roughly. So I'm going to go there, so about 14 front to back, approximate. We'll dial it in once we get it in there. All right, so now we're going to go to easel. Now that we kind of got our bowl thingamajig, and let's get her done. Alrighty, so we're going to open up easel. And one thing I don't like about this one is that, if you can see it, is that I want it to be a little bit more rounded, so just in case you accidentally hit it with your shin or your knee, or depending on how tall, mainly it's going to be your shin or your knee. you don't want to hit a sharp corner. So I'm gonna round the corners a lot more than what this shows here. So we're gonna start a new project in easel, and then my work area I'm gonna do as 48 inches by 32 inches. Actually, let me flip that around. 32. No, that was right. 48 by 32 length. All right, and then that was 0.72 is how thick our wood is going to be. And then this guy we're going to move over. This is the documents that you can work in, which I'll work on that here in a moment, but I just want to get my screen bigger so you can see what's going on here. Okay, so roughly, let's do this here. We're going to first get our shape. So let me get first the circles. That was 7 15/16 circle. So these are going to be our dog bowls. Let me just duplicate that instead of. Okay, so it's going to be 15 divided by 16, so that's point. And if you want, I don't know if you can see this, but if you want, let me zoom that in just a tad bit so you can kind of see. So I'm trying to make the size of the circle. Let me back that up so you can see. So we go to the circle, and I want this circle to be 7 15/16. So instead of converting over and doing all that, what you can do is just do 15 divided by 16 on here, and it'll give you your decimal. So it's 0.38. So right there we're going to do 7.938. Sorry, 7.938. And then we're just going to copy that, Control C and Control V to paste, and then that's our perfect circle there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to already go ahead and make that be, whenever it cuts, it's going to cut, let's see here, inside the shape path. So what it's going to do is the bit that we're cutting, it's going to as it cuts the circle out, it's going to add in the bit diameter and do it exactly at that 7 15/16. So that's the first thing that we're going to do on that guy. So we're going to also, and this is just for me, just to, I kind of like to manually do it. You could also do like an app in here and do like a specific space in between them. But honestly, for me, it's just as quick to just zoom it in a little bit here. And then I said I want the space in between these two to be 4.5. So we're going to go to, I'm just going to put this here because that's where it's going to be there, like that. I'm just going to eyeball. This doesn't have to be precise. If you wanted it precise, you can do the exact spacing in the app. And if you need that, you can just go and find that on YouTube. There's been a million videos on how to do that. So the width we're going to do here is we're going to do 4.5. So there's our 4.5-inch spacer. Get that kind of a little closer here. And then I'm going to duplicate this circle. So Control C, Control V to paste. Alrighty, so we're good here like that, and that's perfect. That's all I need right there. I'm going to move this guy out of the way now that I have my spacing that I want. I'm going to select these two circles, and we're going to align them to make sure that they're centered. So I just hit the alignment tool here. So it's just now that they're completely centered with each other. So then I'm going to also go ahead and take them, since I have the space that I want, I'm going to go ahead and combine these. So now, actually, you know what, let me hit uncombine just in case something gets flaky. So I'm going to make my circle here. I'm gonna use him as he's like a template. So I'm gonna zero him out, because if you move him out and you don't zero it out, then it'll try to cut over there and it just messes your machine up. So anyway, we're gonna go back to these guys. I don't think I messed anything up as far as alignment. It looks good. Now we're going to right click and we're going to hit combine. So now these two, wherever I put them, it's going to be all together. So that's done. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to see, I did my rough estimates, rough measurements of 25.5 on this it's going to be a rectangle, so we're going to do, width is going to be 25.5, and then the height is going to be about 14. But the thing is, like I was mentioning on the other picture, is I don't want the corners to be super like sharp, just in case you hit it with your knee or your shin, or a little kid, you know, might accidentally hit it with their hip or whatever, you know. So we're going to move that there, and we're going to round over the corner. So what you do here is this is going to be just more to what your taste is. So I'm going to say 0.3, and let's see how that looks. That's okay, but let's see if I do ½ inch. 0.5, 0.5. Let's see if we go 0.8 and 0.8. Yeah, that 0.8 seems a little bit better as far as the rounding on that. So, all right, so there's that. And now on this one, I'm going to set the cut to cut on the outside of it. So it's going to keep the actual like shape of it. It's going to keep, and if the more you do this, the more you'll understand. Like if you cut it inside, outside, on what you're wanting, it's just all kind of whatever like you'll see as you're moving along on this. So we're going to do cut on, what did I say, on the outside? Yep, cut on the outside, because I want those dimensions to be kept. Okay. All right. So then this guy, we're going to kind of position him, I would say, I usually do like a ½ inch or even like an inch, you know, from the sides there. It gives it enough meat. So let's just do 1 inch. 1, and then from the bottom up we'll do 0.5. Actually, let's just do 1 inch, just so we're away from all the hold down clamps. So what I did there is I made sure that I'm 1 away from here and 1 away from here. So we're referencing that there. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our circles down, and we're gonna center all of this to itself. So we're gonna select it all. So all I did is I left clicked, and then I let go of the left click, and then I'm gonna hit center, and then center. So everything now is centered to itself. So now we're going to go ahead and cut all of these out all the way through. So I'm going to do this shape. I'm just going to select that, and we're going to cut all the way through. And we are going to do tabs. I'm going to do tabs on, I'm going to do 4 tabs. And these I'll do it at, let's see here, point. And if you want to know the tabs, these are kind of like my bread and butter tabs of the size that I like. So it auto populates a certain number here on the length and the height. But what I like is I like to do 4 tabs. Like if I'm doing like a square, I'll do 4 on each, 1 on each side, and then I'll do the length, which is just the default. I think it's at 0.250, and then the height it usually auto populates. I think it was 0 or 0.080, and I actually like the 0.085. It gives it just a little bit more meat, just in case something gets flaky, and you know you don't want it to be shifting on you when it cuts. So we got those. Now these we're going to cut, and we're going to cut also all the way through. We're going to use the tabs, and on these I'm going to do a total of 8 tabs because it's a combined image. So we're going to do 4 on this and 4 on that. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's change the height to 0.085, and then we're going to do 8 tabs. And I'm going to zoom it in so you can kind of see when I mess with the tabs how you do it. So we're going to do kind of like a cross. We're going to do a tab there, tab there, tab at the, kind of like on a clock. So we're going to do 1 tab at 12 o'clock, one tab at 3 o'clock, one at 6 o'clock, and then one at 9 o'clock. And then my tabs are good. Okay, so there's our simple shape that it's going to cut out. So then what I'm going to do, since I'm going to the Onefinity, I'm going to double check my size here. So we have the shape of this is 25.5, and then from front to back we have it at 14 inches, and we have it showing that it's going to cut the outside of the path of the shape. And then on this one I have it that it's going to cut, oh, this one I also need to move to where it's going to cut on the inside of the, ooh, good thing I checked that. And sometimes because when I combined it earlier, it probably messed something up. So we're cutting on the inside of the shape path, so we're good to go there. And then now I'm going to change my cut settings over here to be a little bit more aggressive. So we're going to go 80 by 18 by 0.08 for a cut. And that's about 25 minutes to cut all this. So let me take this off. See, that's where you want to zoom out so you can see if there's any dark around here, it'll try to cut that. So 16 minutes, because it was trying to shade in that little space over here. So always make sure you zoom out to make sure you don't have anything out here in outer space. And if you do by chance, let's say for example you zoom out and you're showing like one of your random things over here, so just come to it, left click to highlight it and let it go, and then zero it out. So that's all you do. If you have any drafts over here that you're using for future reference, just move them out here to the side and make sure that it's zero. Alright, so that's ready to go. And then now what we're going to do is I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call it Raised Dog Feeder. And I'm going to rename the front of it so it says Onefinity, since we have two CNC machines. So it's going to be Onefinity Raised Dog Feeder. I'm going to just double check to make sure that my cuts are correct. So now I'm paranoid because it moved on me earlier. So this one we're going to cut on outside of the path. Okay. This one we're going to cut on inside of the path. We got tabs on both. Tabs were good. This one we have tabs. We got 8 tabs. Okay. And our cut settings have been moved. We're using an 1/8 inch bit. We're good to go. Now we're going to go over here to project. Actually, I'm going to rename the whole thing too as let's call it Dog Feeder. Dog Feeder. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do project, download G-code, and it's going to download automatically. I'm already connected to the CNC. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit open the file that you want. So this one's a raised dog feeder. We're going to hit open. It's going to take a moment to load it all up here, and it'll give you a 3D view. And then I'm going to move this over here so you can see what I do on the CNC. So we're going to first off zoom you out. We're going to take the bowls away because you don't want to cut the bowls and damage them. We're going to hit I call it the target. I'm going to hit OK or confirm. And it's moving slow because we have it on the slow setting on the joystick, which is not a big deal. Alright, so now we're going to probe and get it ready for cutting. So let me first off make sure that bit will go through. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, so now we're going to probe. We're going to put our probe, clean off our probe. It's pretty close already. Sometimes it's like raised all the way up, and you have to go about 1/4 of an inch away from that probe. Just be careful to move the joystick to where you're on like the slower modes, not the fast, because you'll break your bit. I've done that before. So anyway, we're going to hit probe, and it says attach the probe magnet to the collet. So here's my magnet, so we're going to attach that. Then it says touch the probe block to the bit, so we're going to touch it, and it turns green, and we're going to hit continue, and it's going to touch it, go up, and then it's going to go back down and touch it. I like to hold the block down just in case it gets flaky. Okay, so then it's done, and it tells you to put all this away so that you don't ruin it. Done. So I'd like to make sure that my file, yep, we're good here. So I'm going to turn on the router here in a moment, and then I'm going to turn on my vacuum, and I'm going to hit the play button, and then we're going to get to go here. So let's put our dust boot on first, and I'm going to mute the video, or I'm sorry, make the sound lower so you don't have to hear that. Okay, so we got it all cut out. We're going to do a check to make sure that these will fit in here. Perfect. There's enough room for it not to be too tight. Perfect. So there's our bowls. Alright. So then the next thing that we're going to do is upstairs I already have some 2x4s milled out that'll make the base. But the base is simple to make. So we got the hard part, or the easy part, done. This thing, what it needs is it'll need to be cleaned up here. Got little tabs that you can see; those are easy. And then got to sand both sides, and then put some finish on it. Let that dry, and then put some couple coats of clear coat on here, so that it can accept water and water won't ruin it. So good to go.